So the Big Ideas Foundation has been established with a big idea, which is the BIG. It's the Bonaire Institutes of Giftedness. So our objective is to set up in Bonaire an initiative to focus on giftedness, which in Dutch, for example, is hoogbegaafde. And what we have found is that in Bonaire and in the region, nothing like this exists. So this is a first historic effort to establish an initiative to focus on giftedness. So in the first phase, what we are doing is setting up a retreat. And that is basically a 2-week event where we are bringing children, a youth from Bonaire who have been identified as gifted. Some of them we have worked to locate. And then we are bringing some children, youth, and families from the Netherlands also, and putting a group of them together in a camp, something that you can imagine like as if it was a sports camp, but except this is on the mind. So within that, then we are bringing a group of leading specialists from the Netherlands who are coaches in the field of giftedness, and they will work with these youth and their families in a very intimate setting for the first week. And then the second week, and this is in the end of February, and the second week we're having what we call a professionals program, where we are working with AOZ and others to get the schools, the teachers, the principals and others to also get exposed to the whole field of giftedness.
Why is this necessary?
The gifted children are the ones who, ironically, are the ones who get ignored the most. If you take a group of 100 kids, you'll find 2 to 3% of them will be gifted, but because they finish their work very early, they are left to the side. And sometimes when they ask for attention, they ask it in ways that are not always the best. And so they end up getting labeled as troubled because they're making noise, trying to say, look, I'm not satisfied with all the things that I want to learn about. And our school systems around the world, but also in Bonaire, they just don't give attention to this group of special needs children. They don't get understood by their teachers, they don't get understood by their parents, they don't get understood by their peer group. And as a result, they get more and more isolated. But for them and for society, they are sometimes the most interesting kids. Why? Because they are the ones who innovate. And we have them in Bonaire. We can't lose their talent. The more we invest in them, the better it is for Bonaire.
How did you locate the kids?
So what is interesting is some of them through the leerkrachten, some of them from the schools, some of them we've basically sent the word out. And what is interesting is that as we go and meet the schools, as we go and meet teachers, as we go and meet families, we are finding out that they didn't have a label to put on these kids. When we described what we were looking for, they said, oh, that's interesting. We have one of those trouble kids in our class. And then we said, well, you've labeled him trouble, but you know what? He might or she might be gifted. And then we've gone on and talked to the child or something and discovered in some cases that, indeed they are. But through NOS and through others, we're also sending a word out to the community saying, look, we are doing this. It's happening at the end of February. We are still looking in particular for girls, boys certainly, but also gifted girls who the parents, the teachers or the principal might have noticed, but haven't really had a chance to really focus on.